I'm delighted to welcome to the show this afternoon Pamela Windle. Hello, Pamela.
Hello there, Elaine.
And you specialise in helping women, particularly with hormonal imbalances. And today we're going to be talking about the menopause and how our hormones have a lot to answer for. So what's your own experience with menopause? Let's start with that, Pam.
Yeah, so I'm 53 and I'm a bit of a late starter. So I've just entered in this last year, I think I've just entered proper perimenopause. Obviously, we're perimenopause for quite a long time before any significant symptoms such as missing a period. So I would say at my 52nd birthday, oddly, I missed my very first period. And then throughout that year, everything was fine. I had a regular cycle. And then 53 hit. And as if my body knows that I'm 53, that I missed another menstrual cycle. And then so since then, I've not had a proper menstrual cycle. I'm still having periods, but not in the same way, not every 26 days or so. It's definitely changed. Which I find really interesting. So I've been kind of looking after my body in a really holistic way for the last 4 years. So currently, my perimenopausal journey has been fine. I think that if I hadn't done, then I might be in a bit of a mess, probably. So I'm consciously working on my liver health all the time and my sort of gut health as well, making sure that I'm getting rid of unwanted amounts of estrogen out of my body. So I do the Dutch test as well, which is a hormonal test, which I use with my clients, and I've done that on myself so I can see what's going on a hormonal level and seeing where my estrogen levels are, seeing where my progesterone levels are, my testosterone. And then also my adrenal glands, I can see that on the Dutch test. And the last one I did was earlier this year. So I've got a recent test to see what's going on hormonally for me. My testosterone is low, which is something that I need to work on because it shouldn't really drop as we enter into menopause. Low testosterone can cause all sorts of symptoms like anxiety and low mood and low energy. So, and obviously low sex drive as well. But, it's something that I really want to work on before I hit menopause, and those other hormones, supportive hormones that we have aren't as robust. So my journey has been interesting, and I feel very lucky that I've got an insight into what's going on in my body. I think it's quite a privileged position to be in. Therefore, I can work on me individually rather than being told what to do that's right for women rather than right for me, if that makes any sense.
I think you've hit it all on the head without actually saying what I'm going to say, which is your body. And by knowing your body, you know what it needs, what's going on, etc., etc. And obviously, as a health practitioner, you're a lot more enlightened than the average Mrs. Public is, and that's a great thing. So, what kind of cost is the Dutch test? This is something that you can arrange for clients, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. The Dutch test, it's not cheap. I'd really want it to be available for all women on the NHS, but I doubt it ever will be. So the actual test is £286 for the Dutch test. But honestly, it'd be the best £286 that you would ever invest in your health because it tells you so much. One of the things it does tell you about estrogen is whether you're going down the estrogen dominant route in terms of developing an estrogen dominant cancer. So if anyone's thinking about going on HRT or bioidentical hormones to lift your estrogen, for me, I'd want to know, how am I doing with that first before I take any form of hormones, just making sure that you're clearing those unwanted estrogens, and they're going down the right pathways. So the Dutch test is available. It's a urine test. It's over 24 hours. You take up to 5 urine samples, and they have to dry. So I order the kit for you. It arrives at your home. You do the test at home. You don't do it with me. I don't need to see your wee. And you package it all up, and it goes to the labs in London, and they ship it off to the United States, and the results take about 3 weeks to come back. But it is really comprehensive and worth the investment, absolutely.
And I think that's key. It's an investment. It's not a cost. And people go, oh dear, that's expensive. Well, try living on dodgy supplements that aren't going anywhere and not helping your body. That's expensive. Something like this is not expensive in the big scheme of things. And it's what price you put on your health, isn't it? And everybody has a different view on that.
Yes, they do.
So what kind of things would people expect during perimenopause? You've mentioned irregular periods. Are there any other characteristics where you might think that, okay, that I'm leading up to the menopause?
Yeah, I mean, a missed cycle is just one thing, and that might happen much later on, as in myself at 53. So you might have other symptoms way before that actually happens. Anxiety, sleepless nights, hot sweats, notice. I think pay attention to, if you're still having a menstrual cycle, pay attention to how you feel on those days, all the build up to those days. Are you struggling with sleep? What's your energy levels like? Do you struggle with depression, anxiety? Is that PMS just getting longer? And, they're the things to pay attention to. What's your energy like and mood like mid-cycle as well? And but I think we've been sort of conditioned to believe that the perimenopause is all about not having a period or not having a regular cycle, but it's way before that. The little hints that something is changing, and it doesn't mean that it's changing and you're heading towards menopause. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just could be that there's a little bit of imbalance there in the hormones, and we can rescue those. We can rescue those hormones and lift them up before you get into proper perimenopause. So the perimenopause is like a window of opportunity, I think.
And it's about measuring. It's about knowing your body, listening to it, watching it, seeing what's happening, but also recording things, because I don't know about you, but if, within a couple of days I've forgotten some things I did the previous day, well, I'm a lot older than you are, but maybe it's sort of age sort of thing, because we do deteriorate in all different aspects of our life. But if we know our body and we record, no kind of big deal, but journaling, how, like you say, how you're feeling, because you might be tired, not because you're perimenopausal, but maybe you only had 2 hours sleep. Well, there is a correlation there. So how you're feeling, how emotional you are, obviously all of that plays a big impact on your hormonal impact on the body, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And journaling, writing down, I'm an advocate of that. I do that myself. I've been recording my body temperature, my basal body temperature. That's your morning body temperature upon waking, which tells you whether you're going through those cycles, whether you're actually hitting the first bit, which is called the follicular phase, whether you're ovulating, whether you're going into luteal phase. And I've been doing that for the last 4 years. But along with that, I then record my sleep. Is it disturbed? Am I having, waking up feeling refreshed? If you're waking up feeling groggy in the morning, that's like a real indication of something that's not quite right with your cortisol, if it's prolonged over a period of time. And then also looking at, your exercise that you do. Does the exercise that you're doing, is it draining you? Do you feel drained the next day and the next day after that? Or, the food that you're eating, does that bring on any other symptoms like hot sweats or bloatedness or constipation? They're all symptoms of aging and perimenopause and also menopause and also health. it all comes together.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when we talk about the menopause and perimenopause, it's all about the ovaries, the changing hormones. But I think we just need to go a bit broader and a bit deeper and think it as a health process or a health journey rather than just just the hormones are changing, because all those hormones change impacts every aspect of our bodies. And
Yeah.
so then we have to, when we're looking at supporting that, we have to go global. We have to go wide and far and look at other areas, other organs, other systems in the body to come back to feeling good and feeling healthy.
All the things that you mentioned, constipation and bloatedness and so on and so forth, they're all symptoms of being out of balance in some way or another, isn't it? So we by tracking what it is that's happening, you can then backtrack and go, oh, well, what did I eat? Why am I feeling bloated? Okay, well, I ate bread. Well, let's cut bread out, or gluten out, or whatever it is. Why have I got gas and wind? Well, it's because maybe because I've had sprouts, too many sprouts or something, or a particular type of vegetable that doesn't suit me. And then when you can work out all of that, a lot of people do it intuitively, but for some people, writing down, and it's about patterns, isn't it? If you see the pattern, you can then adjust things.
Yeah, definitely.
So I have a theory that if your body is in good condition when you're approaching this menopausal phase, you're unlikely to have as many symptoms and problems as if if your body is in good nick when you go into it, you're likely to have less symptoms and problems. Do you think that makes sense, or have I gone mad?
I don't know, because who knows when your body is in good nick at all? There are some things that are just so hidden that we just wouldn't have a clue. For example, your adrenal glands. Who knows what state your adrenal glands in? Have you been running on gas for the last 10 years prior to menopause? Are they depleted? Have you overexercised? Have you had major stress in your life? No fault of your own. It's just that's happened, And that's not saying that your body isn't in good nick or not. So I think, yeah and no, because you might have the best diet in the world. You might, manage stress well, but you don't know actually what's going on the inside. So I'd say yes and no. It
Yeah.
helps, but some things are just, we just don't know what's happening underneath our bodies.
Like you say, that the hidden things. So adrenals. There's I take an adrenal cocktail every day, which I'll mention in a minute what it is. But that's new knowledge that's come to me through the training that I'm doing to become a biohacker, not to become a practitioner, but for the knowledge that helps me when I'm guiding people. But the adrenals and coping with stress and so on. Intellectually, we can think we're coping with stress, but then our body comes to a point and goes, oh no, and you're not listening to me. So here we go. Have this dose of cancer, have this dose of fibromyalgia, ME, whatever it is. I'm going to stop you because you're not listening. So again, more evidence by tracking how you're feeling, what's happening via journaling. You can then see the patterns and then see kind of the direction of travel, can't you?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people wouldn't relate adrenal health to approaching perimenopause or even menopause, supporting that. And that can be like the silent thing that you just aren't producing enough cortisol, or you're producing too much cortisol at the wrong time of day, so that you're not sleeping, or you're heading towards an autoimmunity or cancer, or any other sort of life changing illnesses. But yeah, I think going back to the original question that you asked me, there are other things that are going on in the body that we potentially haven't got a clue about, and therefore, when you approach perimenopause and menopause, these things kind of come to light. because of the ovaries are a source of energy, and our estrogen has over 400 functions in the body. So as that withdrawal happens, then if there's any underlying issues health-wise globally, then they're going to come up, they're going to show up at this point. So what you've maybe managed to suppress or manage prior to this point in your life, it's the kind of raising up now and going, yeah, this isn't right.
That's a good way to explain it. Thank you. That's very clear. It's similar with cholesterol. I used to run cardiovascular health clinics some years ago, and I was forever seeing the pharmaceutical companies reduce the level at which they thought was safe on your cholesterol readings, your LDL and your HDL, your cholesterol numbers. And I understand that at one time it was considered safe to have a reading of in excess of 14. Then the pharma companies brought it down to 12, and then all the doctors started running around and said, "Oh, you must be on statins." And then it came down to 9, and I've heard recently some people with cholesterol readings as low as 6 being put on statins. And part of that is the doctors covering themselves, but also the misunderstanding because cholesterol in our body is needed, and when we have changes such as our ovaries and estrogen levels, going out of balance, as other parts of our body deplete in their quantity of these things over the years, others increase, and we actually need more cholesterol as we get older. So yes, we expect to see more cholesterol as we get older, but the doctors think that's a bad thing because the pharmaceutical companies have told them that. So the doctors give you the drugs. The drugs have the side effects, and here we go around the mulberry bush. It's madness.
It is.
So apart from the journaling and knowing the body, are there any other kind of top tips that you can pass out to listeners to help with through menopause for men and for women? Because I mean, men have to live with it. For people who've got severe symptoms, is there any kind of strategies that can help?
Yeah, there's interesting that you say that for men and women. I bumped into a friend at the weekend in Sainsbury's I haven't seen for quite a number of years, and her husband was there as well, and he said, when she hit menopause, our lives changed, and I thought it was really lovely. He said our lives changed. It wasn't just hers. Was definitely on board with her, and I thought it was beautiful that him saying that. But she was struggling with anxiety, hot sweats. That was a biggie for her. The hot sweats. I think he said she was having like one every hour or something like that, which isn't uncommon. So I would say that when it comes to our health, we really need to pay attention to hormones. We need to look at your liver health. So drinking alcohol might not be the right thing to do as the body's
alert from mail. Ooh. Save this message as a draft.
Whoops.
Hold on, something's happened. This is live, isn't it?
It is live.
Okay, let's see what's going on.
So drinking alcohol is not the best thing to do if you are suffering from menopausal symptoms.
Absolutely, because what happens is when the liver is processing and getting rid of detoxifying alcohol, as it's doing that, it's also getting rid of depleting some vital nutrients from you as well at the same time. And it also stops your body from detoxifying estrogen, the unwanted amount of estrogen. So drinking alcohol actually might not be the best thing for you. So again, that's all about monitoring where you are and seeing whether that is something that fits for you. How do you feel when you drink alcohol? So increasing your vegetables, so many people don't eat vast amounts of veggies. I think the recommended amount is up to 45 grams a day. And this is quite interesting. So if you are depleted in estrogen, then you want to have more of those phytonutrients, so more like the pulses and the beans, tempeh. I don't actually recommend soya at all. That's just my beliefs around that. But there's information out there that suggests that soy is okay, but that's just my personal belief.
I wouldn't touch it either. Tempeh or miso, the only two that I have as well occasionally.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you are struggling with estrogen, if you've got estrogen symptoms that you're depleted in it, so dryness, for example, then you want to have more of those foods. If you've got hot sweats, then you probably want to have less of those because it might increase your estrogen. So you want to have more of vegetables like cauliflower, your kales, your sprouts, those kind of feel, because they kind of help your body to get rid of estrogen. Talking about adrenal health, so if you're tired, then foods that support you, things like vitamin C's, cinnamon, sprinkle some cinnamon on a smoothie, spirulina, maca powder as well is really good. Lots of research around that, about supporting adrenal health and also supporting that estrogen. So if you're struggling with hot sweats, there's some really good research around maca powder and also libido as well. And the other thing is that I do with my clients, so if you're struggling with energy, is to kind of move away from heavy type foods, so more have things like soups and smoothies. And you can obviously make any soup healthy. You could put meat in it and blend it down. But what it just does, it just gives your body system some time just to not work hard to then break down big pieces of steak or chicken. So if you make it into a soup, you're obviously going to take those nutrients on a lot better. And your body system isn't having to work hard to do that. So we just alleviate it just for a moment, and that's kind of things that I do sort of therapeutic with my clients who have adrenal issues, sort of energy issues. Trying to think top of my head, what else is there? So sleep, for example, that's another issue, isn't it, with women in the menopausal phase of life. And then again, there's lots of things that can contribute to that. There's the blue light, how much time are you spending on your laptops or your mobile phone? There are lots of devices out there that you can put a filter on your phone now and on your PCs to reduce the blue light. But I'd always recommend, sort of 2 hours before bedtime to just not be on your computer or your mobile phone. And you can buy some glasses, can't you now, specialist glasses as well that help with that. And magnesium is great for sleep, magnesium baths, or Epsom salt bath, should I say. And having a bit of protein before bed, that often works as well. A lot of my clients who struggle with sleep, we just add a little bit of protein sort of half an hour before bed. Could be an egg, it could be a handful of nuts, making sure you chew it well. It could be a piece of chicken, just a tiny bit, sort of the palm of your hand, so not like big dinner, but just a little bit of protein just before bed, and that really does work. And making sure you're eating. If you're struggling with energy, struggling with sleep, struggling with anxiety, eating every 3 or 4 hours, definitely. And making sure that you're having your good quality protein, good quality fats, and lots of vegetables as well. And try and reduce the, like stimulants like coffee, for example. And, if you're struggling with sleep, then maybe exercise might not be right for you. And I've even, with some clients, sleep's been a real problem, literally sleeping 3 hours, but not even 3 consecutive hours. We've even taken fruit out of the diet for a little time, just while we're rebalancing things, just because the body is in such a state of stress that we just take out any sort of carbohydrate, any kind of sugar at all. It might sound extreme, but it actually does work as well.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? People underestimate that sugar is really very, very concentrated in fruit, even though it's good sugars. It's not the fabricated stuff, but it's a sugar is sugar, isn't it? So
absolutely
not good.
Yeah, and people think it's like, what, you've taken that fruit out? Yes, we've taken fruit out when somebody can't sleep and it's that bad. We've taken fruit out for a couple of months and we've supplemented the antioxidants that they're not having in the fruit from not eating it. And, lo and behold, they start sleeping again. It does work. And then we introduce fruit back into the diet, clearly. But it does work.
And it's so important to listen to your body. I have a friend who has the most enormous, huge bowl of fruit every single morning, and I worry for her. But for her, that's the right thing to do. We're so different. We need to experiment, don't we? So, Pamela, where can people get hold of you? How can people contact you if they've got any more queries or would like you to support them in their journey?
Yeah, so you can contact me by my website, which is smarterchange.co.uk. And I've got a few things that you can download. There's a webinar about perimenopause. I'm explaining what it is. There's also a recording. It's a relaxation recording you can download. And also there's a booklet about foods and stuff that you can download off my website. So you can contact me through my website, and you can also download some freebies from me. And also I'm on Facebook as Pamela Windle Hormones with Health and Vitality. And then on Instagram, I'm Pamela Windle Hormone Coach. So you can find me on any of those platforms.
Wonderful. So Windle is Windle.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so Pamela Windle, smarterchange.co.uk. Lovely to have you on the show this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.